Welcome back to 15 Minutes with Sam Dostaler with you again. And today we are joined by Meghan Mitchell. She is the defending Connecticut Women's Amateur Champion. Meghan, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us today.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you.
So how have you been keeping your game sharp during quarantine?
With quarantine going on, I'm fortunate enough to have been able to practice and hit balls, and I have a net in my basement. So when everything was locked down, I was there. And then as things started slowly opening up, I was at the range hitting balls and playing a little bit at my home course and at the course I work at.
Do you have any playing plans for this upcoming summer?
I do. I plan to play in a few events, and more importantly, I want to play a lot for fun. Definitely, I plan on playing the Connecticut Am again, but this summer, I'm really going to focus on playing a lot with family and friends, and definitely a few tournaments because I know it's going to make me a better competitor in my collegiate career, but definitely playing plans this summer.
Yeah, you mentioned playing with some family. Your dad was your caddy last year at the Connecticut Women's Amateur, so that seems like a big part of the
Yeah,
importance of golf to you.
definitely. My whole family is really involved in golf. My mom is my swing coach, and she was on my bag day one, and my dad was on my bag day two. But yeah, they really helped me manage the course well, and they really help with my mental side of the game, which is really important. And winning the Connecticut Am with their help was a great memory I got to share with both of them.
So last year, we've already mentioned a couple times, but you won the Connecticut Women's Amateur Championship. It was played at your home course. Where does the win rank for you?
Definitely one of my top wins, especially since I was a month away from starting my collegiate career. But knowing the course well was a huge advantage. It's a very tricky, narrow course. So it was definitely special for it to be at a course I knew really well. But yeah, it was definitely one of my top golf moments.
Is there one shot or moment from the tournament that stands out to you as a pivotal point? Because I know you came into that final round trailing by a few strokes.
Yes. I wouldn't say there was one specific shot, but there was a specific moment that it was where I finally realized, wow, I do have a chance to win. And I wasn't sure by how much I was in the lead, but it was in the back of my mind that I could win. And my dad just kept reassuring me the whole second day that just keep playing my game, stay focused, and don't really think about the end result. Just think about what you can do now. So that was really helpful. But yeah, that was definitely a moment that stood out for me the most, that thinking that I could do it.
So your dad, Steve, was on the bag. We talked about on day two. Your mom was on the bag for day one. What kind of influence? I know you mentioned the calming influence, but what kind of influence do they have while they're caddying for you? And what's the difference between the two?
Difference between the two, well, my dad definitely helps with my mental side a lot more. He knows me well enough when I play that where to calm me down, at what point to reel me back in and say settle down. My mom helps me more if I have a swing issue, since she's my swing coach. If I'm really having trouble, she'll tweak a few things, but she doesn't really tweak on the course. But when she does, it's more course management, where to put it, what's the best option for this hole, or how to come off to a competitor. And my dad's more of the mental, like for me, he's focused on my mental side. So
We're talking with Meghan Mitchell. She is the reigning Connecticut Women's Amateur Champion. She also was a freshman at Appalachian State this year where she played. We'll get into that in a little bit. Meghan, let's talk a little bit about your high school career. You played for New Canaan High School, 3 consecutive state championships. That's no small feat. Take me through that time period a little bit and what it was like to just keep winning.
definitely, there are moments that I'll never forget. My sophomore, junior, and senior year, you just feel the same moment again and again, 3 years in a row, like huddled with your teams. There's no better feeling. Playing alongside great teammates every year was really exciting and a lot of fun for me. And Priscilla Schultz, my high school coach, does a really great job of keeping the fun in the game. And I think that that's the secret ingredient. And we were able to accomplish what we did 3 consecutive years in a row. And I'm sure they would have been able to do it again this year because the system at New Canaan is just so strong. And it's such a great positive atmosphere that keeps you wanting to play and keeps you wanting to have fun.
So you've won both as playing playing on your own at the Connecticut Women's Amateur. You've also won in a team setting, winning those 3 state championships at New Canaan High School, playing on the Appalachian State team. What's it like to sort of swing back and forth between those two? Is there a different mindset you take, or what's your approach when playing just on your own or as part of a team?
Definitely. Playing alone versus playing with a team is very different, but in it is also the same. It is an individual sport, but when you're playing with a team, you know your score is going to count at the end result. So when I play with a team, I'm thinking about my other teammates, and I'm thinking about, I'm not going to take a selfish shot. I'm just going to play safe on this hole. And my coach at App says, play vanilla and don't go crazy to try to get a birdie when you could just get your par and then birdie the next hole. So, and playing as an individual, I'm thinking a little bit more selfishly, and I'm thinking, what's the best thing I can do right now? But that's only if the opportunity is there. But definitely a little bit of a difference, but I love doing both, and it keeps it fun to kind of switch it on and off.
So let's take one last look back at your high school career, 3 straight state titles at New Canaan High School. And this doesn't have to be something that's necessarily on the course, but what memory stands out the most when you think back on your high school career?
I would say when we got ice cream as a team a few times. We got it once as a team the past 3 years, and Priscilla Schultz would take us out, and it was a great team bonding moment for all of us. And I think it really transferred onto the course as we just were all so much more together, and we all played for each other, and getting an ice cream was kind of a great way to do that.
Plus, you can't go wrong with ice cream, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's fast forward a little bit to college. Unfortunately, your freshman year at Appalachian State was cut short. You were telling me right before we hopped on that you went on spring break and you never came back due to the coronavirus pandemic. But what led you to Appalachian State?
Yeah, definitely. App State was everything I was looking for in a school. Although it was far from home, it was the perfect size for me. And I found that it was a very school-spirited school, which meant a lot to me. And something that really stood out to me was that I was able to bond with the girls on the golf team immediately. And it made me really able to picture myself there. And I was just felt so included already. And it definitely stood out among any other school I looked at.
How many schools did you end up looking at?
I would say I was serious about maybe 2 or 3, but as the recruiting process goes, you just branch out to everyone. But yeah, definitely App State really stood out ahead of others I looked at.
What are you studying at App State?
At App State, I'm undeclared as of now, but I'm working towards the business school.
Business school. Very cool. Take me through the transition from high school golf to college golf. Both are playing for a team, but it's certainly a step up in competition.
Definitely a transition. It was a lot more hours, and it's harder to balance with more challenging courses in school. At some points, it does get stressful, but it makes you realize how much you really do love the game, and it makes you wonder, like, it just makes you think, like, what else would I be doing? Like, I'd so much rather be spending time on a golf course playing 18 holes on a beautiful Saturday rather than being cooped up in my dorm. So it's definitely a transition. But when it gets stressful, you realize that you really do love doing what you do. And it's mentally tough to play with other great players, but it's going to make you so much stronger, not only as a player, but a person. But definitely a transition.
And you have to feel pretty good about how your freshman year was going, right? You'd gotten into 3 events in the season. Was still another 6 weeks to go when play stopped.
Yes. I started off really strong, and as it goes, it gets more stressful, and you start thinking about your score. I was thinking about my score a lot more than I should have, and I was thinking about messing up a lot more, and I never used to be like that. And I found myself kind of just getting worrying too much and not playing carefree like I used to. And I play my best rounds when I have the most fun and I don't really overthink. And that was definitely a transition I wasn't used to, because you're at this, in my collegiate career, you're playing with greater players and you think it matters so much more. And really it's just the same game. And I just had to keep doing what I was doing. And that's why right now I'm just really having fun with it again, because I don't want to be out there thinking about techniques in my swing when I'm just out there to have fun.
And Megan, we'll leave you on this one. We're talking with Meghan Mitchell. She won the Connecticut Women's Amateur last year. How have you seen your game grow in the last year?
I would say my game has grown. I'd say mentally I'm stronger, and that's very important for golf. It's half the game. And because of college, playing with new players, and I'm used to playing with the same girls from Connecticut and going all the way to North Carolina, where all the North Carolina girls know each other. It's a totally different atmosphere. It's a totally different group of girls. So when you're playing with new girls, better competitors, it's going to make you mentally stronger. And I think that's something I really have grown with the game, and that's definitely my freshman year. I think I've grown a lot mentally stronger.
Very good. This has been 15 Minutes with Meghan Mitchell. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes to join us, and we can't wait to see you out at some events this summer.
Thank you so much.
I've been Sam Dostaler. Thanks so much for listening to 15 Minutes with.